Is my voice clear to you all? Is my voice clear to you all? Okay, now I'm going to share the screen to you. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen? Yes? Okay. So today we are going to start with Unit 2 revision. Okay, we are going to start with Unit 2 revision. Let me record this meeting. So what is a class? So what are the topics we will study in Unit 2? Can anybody what we have studied earlier in Unit 2? Did you remember everyone? What are the topics we had in Unit 2? Yes, no. What we have studied in Unit 2? Yes, what is a class? So in Unit 2, we have studied like what is a class, what is the structure of a class, right? Did you remember yes or no? Did you remember yes or no, all of you? Yes? Yes. So what is a class declaration? What's the structure of a class and what is the scope of the class? Then we have discussed what is a this pointer, then what are friend functions, what are static members. Can anybody tell remaining things what we have studied in Unit 2? Apart from this, can anybody tell what we have discussed in Unit 2? Mm. What we have studied in Unit 2? Yeah, students, I'm just asking you what we have studied in Unit 2. I'm not asking the topic. Are you there? Are you listening or not? Or just log in? Students, Shravani, Shravani. Shravani is here. Hey, Shravani. Yeah. So apart from this, what we have studied in Unit 2, we have studied about constructors. Yes, constructors and as well as we have studied about destructors also. Clear? So now what we do is we are going to start quickly with the revision what we have studied. So what is a class? What is a class? Can anybody answer what is a class? Can anybody answer what is a class? No reply? See, as it is the afternoon, all of you are sleeping or what? Yes? So what is a class? Class is good. Good Balaji, good. First reply given by good Balaji. It's a blueprint of an instance or a class, right? So class is nothing but it is a blueprint or an idea of, right, of an idea here. It is nothing but a blueprint of a idea. So class, whenever we are defining a class, it provides the structure of an object. It is going to provide the structure of an object here. So whenever we are taking the class, declaring a class in the sense that it includes data members and member functions. Okay, class includes data members as well as member functions. So whenever you create a class, okay, whenever we are creating a class, my voice is breaking. Is this clear now? Yes, now is this clear? Anil Kumar, is my voice clear now? Anil, Anil Kumar, is this clear now? Okay, okay, maybe problem with Anil only. You can check it once more. So in a class, we will have a combination of data members and member functions. So what do you mean by data members? Data members are also called as variables which we are declaring in a class. And member functions are nothing but the functions which we are declaring in a class. So if we are comparing with the C language here, function is nothing but in C++ we are going to call as member function, and variables are nothing but data members. Okay, in C++ we are going to call data members are nothing but variables itself, and member functions means they are functions. So if we are comparing with C and C++, so this is a difference with the variables and member functions here. So whenever we declare a class here, class does not occupy any memory, right? Class does not occupy any memory here. It will only uh, allow us to create an instance. Okay, it allows us to create an instance of a class. So for example, if I am declaring any class, right? For example, if I am declaring any class, the class name I'm taking as an employee. Okay, the name of the class I'm taking as employee. Can you tell me now, at the time of declaration, does it allot any memory for a class? Does it allot any memory for a class? Can anybody tell, does it allow the memory for a class? Memory for a class. Does class occupy any memory here? No, right? Will not occupy any memory. As earlier I told you, class does not take any memory here. It will not occupy any memory space, right? So whatever class we want to declare, so what keyword we are going to use for the declaration of a class? What is the keyword we use for the declaration of a class? Right? The keyword we are going to use will be class here, right? Followed by the class, we are going to give the name of a class. Followed by the class, we are going to give the name of the class here. So when we are declaring a class followed by the name, now once again I am asking, does it occupy any memory space? Does it occupy any memory space for a class? No, right? So even though you are declaring class, when I say the class you are declaring means it will not occupy any space. When you are giving a name or we are not giving a name also, doesn't matter here. It will not occupy any memory space unless until we are creating an object. Object is going to occupy the space. Object is going to occupy the space here. So for the declaration of class, we are going to have the variables as well as member functions, right? We are going to have variables as well as member functions. Now you can see here, class student I am taking. In this I have roll number and name. In this I am having roll number as well as name here. So by default, okay, the members of a class are private, okay. By default, the members of a class are private here. Even though if you are not writing anything here, like for example, I did not write like private. So it indicates that these members of a class are private members. Okay. If you are writing explicitly, it indicates they are private variables or private member variables, right? If you are not writing, then they, by default it indicates it's a private members, right? So for a class, we have three types of access specifiers. For a class, we are having three types of access specifiers. One is private, second one is public, and one more we are having is protected. Okay, first one we are having is private, public, and protected are the access specifiers. So private actually access specifier means it allows us, it tells us how the data is accessed. Okay, how the data is accessed. So in that we have three categories. What's the first one? What's the first one we are having for this access specifier? It is a private, second one is public, and third one is protected. So if you are taking private, okay, if we are declaring a member variables as private, it indicates that the members are member functions. That means member variables or member functions, whatever we have declared, they are not allowed to access outside the class. Okay, that data is not allowed outside the class here, right? That means what happens here, it provides data hiding. That means we are not allowing the data to move freely from one class to another class or from a class to outside the class, right? That it allows to have the data hiding here, right? Then coming to the second one, public. Okay, coming to the second one here, the member variables, if you are declaring as public, okay, as public, then that can be accessed in the class as well as outside the class. Okay, in the class as well as outside the class. But what happens if you are declaring as private? Can be accessed only within a class. Okay, can be accessed only within a class. And the third access specifier we have is protected, right? If you are declaring any member variables as protected, if you are declaring any member variables as protected here, they can be accessed to the next derived class. They are accessed to the next derived class. Okay, so members are accessible from outside the class, but only in a class derived from it. Okay, only in a class they are derived from it. Is this clear? Can you tell me now the difference between public and protected? Can you give me the difference between public and protected? What is public and protected? Difference between public and protected. Can anybody give a reply to this? See, public members means they can be accessed in the class as well as outside the class. Outside the class, irrespective of any number of classes, it can be accessed, right? But coming to the protected members, they can be accessed outside the class. They can be accessed outside the class, and that the class must be derived from it. That means to the next class, wherever you are deriving. Followed now, everyone? Can anybody tell now what's the difference between protected and public? See, we come across in-depth related to protected when we are discussing inheritance, right? When we discuss inheritance, at that time we will come across this. Are you following everyone? Are you following everyone? Are Baba, give reply to this also, not can't say yes or no. Okay, you are able to follow, right? See, what I mean is, think that we are having three classes A, B, C. Okay, think that we are having three classes A, B, C. Okay, the class A you are deriving. Okay, the class A you are deriving to class B. Okay, and from class B you are deriving into class C. Okay, from class B you are deriving into class C. It is like this: class A, I have a class A. From this class A I am deriving to class B. Okay, then I am taking class B, which is again deriving into class C. Okay, so what is happening is A to B. A to B, the class A is derived into B means we are allowing the class A members to be accessed, like protected members. I'm discussing more on protected. The protected members of A are public. Okay, meaning of that is can be accessed into the class B. Okay, but not to the class C. Is this clear, everyone? But not to the class C. I am talking with respect to class A protected members. I am discussing with respect to class A protected members. I hope this is clear to you now. Yes? Then we have class structure here. So what is the class structure? We are going to define the class by using a keyword called as class keyword followed by the class name. After giving the class name, we are going to write opening and closing curly braces for writing the body of a structure. So this is like this: class name followed by private. This is one access specifier I am taking. In the private part, I have roll number. Okay, roll number and name. And in the public part, I have member functions. Okay, the member functions I'm taking are void set roll number and void get roll number. The member functions which I am taking here are void void what is the name of a member function? Set roll number first member function, second member function is get roll number. So what we are doing in the set roll number function? See, the main purpose of creating the variables of a class are here are roll number, name. So these variables we call as instance variables. Okay, so in this member function set roll number, we are trying to initialize. Okay, I am trying to initialize roll number. Okay, I am trying to initialize roll number here, and I have even one more function called as get roll number. In this get roll number function, I am trying to return the value. Okay, I am trying to return the value here. Okay, so what value I am returning here? Roll number I am returning. Right, so this is a student class. This is a structure of a class. Here see, this is an example I have told you just now. So as many number of member functions you want to include inside a class, you can include. Okay, how many number of member functions you wanted to include inside a class, you can include it, right? So this is only the blueprint, this is only the idea here. Now from this class I wanted to access the members. Okay, access the members outside the class. Can I access here outside the class direct only by creating a class structure? No. So for this I need to create an object. I need to create an object for the class. So the creation of an object will be like Okay, class name. This is my class. This is my class, followed by class name. Okay, below this, what I am doing is I am writing the members of a class. Okay, below this, I am writing the members of a class. Okay, so what is this I am doing here? I am going to include few variables, that is few data members of a class, followed by member functions. Okay, followed by member functions. So when I wanted to access those member functions means, so member functions means I am going to create an object. So the creating an object will be, okay, object creation will be like this: class name, okay, whatever may be the class name, followed by, okay, we are going to give some space, followed by object name. Okay, class name space object name. Okay, see here. So now what is the class name I have? The class name I have here is, the class name I have here is student, right? For this student class I wanted to create an object. So what I am doing here, I am going to create an object like student. Okay, I'll write like student, student. This is my class name. Then I'm going to give some space, followed by object name. So I'm giving the object name as, st1. Okay, I'm giving the object name as st1. So what is my object name? What is my object name here in this example? What is my object name here in this example? st1 is my object name, right? st1 is my object name. Yes, right? Then I want to call, right? I wanted to invoke the member functions of a class. I wanted to call or invoke the member functions of a class. Then what happens here? When we are taking invoking or calling the member functions of a class, again we have a syntax that we have to follow for creation of a, this is for creation of an object. Then we have calling, right? So for calling of a class object here, we have object name. We have object name dot, okay, this is syntax. Dot operator is used to access the members of a class. Okay, dot operator is used to access the members of a class. Object name dot member function name. Okay, object name dot member function name. This is a syntax. This is a syntax for invoking a member function to a class. Okay, for invoking the member function to a class. This is a syntax, and this is a syntax for creating an object. Okay, that is a syntax for creating an object. Are you following, everyone? Are you following, everyone? Are you following? Yes? Yes, right. So now, now, till now I told you that class does not occupy any memory space. Okay, right? So whenever I create an object, st1, okay, now this st1 will occupy the memory space. Okay, st1 will occupy the memory space here. Clear? Is this clear? st1 will occupy the space memory, but not the student. I hope you are able to follow. I hope you are able to follow. Clear? Okay, good. Then we'll have next thing. Is this clear to everyone? Right? So this is related to the class declaration and the members of a class and how do we access the members of a class. Right? Then next we have what is an object. Okay, object is nothing but it's a, what is an object? What is an object? Ma'am, explain example programs. We will have example programs also. I'll show you example programs also, Akash. Okay, let me have a small, let me give a small idea related to these things. Okay. Yes. So what is an object? What is an object? What is an object? What is an object? It is a real-time entity which occupies a memory space. Right? It's a real world entity which occupies a memory space here. Right? Then so how do you create an object? How do we create an object? We are going to create an object by following a syntax like class name space object name, right? So object is going to occupy memory space, and for accessing the members of a class we use which operator? For accessing the members of a class, which operator is used? For accessing the members of a class we are going to use dot operator. Okay, okay, good Anusha, we are going to use dot operator. Right, now for this I'm going to show you an example. Okay, see this example all of you. I have a class name called circle. Okay, I have a class name called circle. In this class, in this class, I have instance variables called as radius and area. In this class, I have instance variables called radius and area here. Right? So, are you observing here? I did not write anything like private, public, nothing. So, what does it indicate? Those members are in. Those members are in. What does it indicate? Those members of a class are by default private. Okay, they are private members, right? Then I have a function called set radius and get radius, member functions. I am using a member function called set radius and the other one I am using as a get radius. So directly I gave in this member function the value of radius as 10. Okay, directly I have given the value of radius as 10 here, right? Yes, then returning that radius. Then I have a function member function calculate area. Inside this I'm calculating the area of a circle, that is pi r square. Okay, that is pi r square. I'm calculating the area of a circle as area is equal to 3.4, right? Pi r square. Then I'm trying to print that value. Trying to print that value here. Till here I think you have followed, right? And the class I'm ending by semicolon. So what I'm doing here, I have two member variables called radius and the other one is area. Then I'm initializing the value for radius and I'm returning the value of radius in another function called get radius. Then in calculate area, I have area is equal to 3 point, that is pi r square. Pi value I am writing 3.1416 into radius. And area I am printing here. Right? Yes, I hope these functions are clear to you. Then coming to the main function, I am creating an object to the class. Coming to the main function, I am creating an object to the class. So how we are creating an object to the class? Class name space object name. So the class name here we have is circle. Circle space C. C is an object now. Right? C is an object now. So when I say C dot set radius, when I say C dot set radius, what happens here? The control jumps from C dot set radius from the main to set radius function here. And here what happens? It assigns the value of radius as 10. And here the value of radius will get assigned as 10. Okay? Then when I say C dot get radius means we are returning the value of radius, means it will print the value of radius as 10. Then later we are saying here C dot calculate area. We are saying here as C dot calculate area, means the area will be calculated. That means pi r square will be calculated here. Yes, then we are returning the value. You can see, compiling. See, I got the value as area of circle as 314.16. Okay, 314.16. Have you followed this example, everyone? Have you followed, everyone? Yes or no? Wake up. See, we are having internal examinations. Right? You have to listen. I want maximum responses from you people. Okay? Right. The next. I hope this example everybody have followed. Everybody have followed. Then we will discuss about the class scope. Okay, we'll discuss about the class scope here. Class scope is nothing but the context in which the data member or member function is visible. That means till where the member variables are visible. That is nothing but a scope. Okay. For example, if you are declaring a data member within a class, the members are only visible within that class body, not outside. So if I consider the previous example of protected also, the scope of protected variables are till where? To the next derived class. Yes or no? The scope of protected variables are to the to the next derived class. Yes. So now you see here the example of class. In this class I have a member variables and member functions. The scope of this will be only inside the class, curly braces. Okay. So the members can be accessed outside of the scope because they are declared as private. Public cannot be accessed. Now what will be the scope of protected? The scope of protected. Can anybody tell the scope of protected? Scope of protected members. Scope of protected members to the derived class. Harshita, CH Harshita is asking me to repeat. Okay, I'll repeat it once again. My voice is breaking, Harsh. I think a problem with you only, ma. Now also is breaking. I did not change any settings also. Right? See, scope is nothing but it is going to tell us till where the variables are live, like the lifetime of a particular variables. So here in our example, we are considering the member variables and member functions. Okay, we are considering member variables and member functions. So we have to, now we are discussing till where you can use that particular variables. So public means can be used in a class, outside the class, and in case if you are using any number of classes also, public members are accessed. Yes, that is the scope of public members is anywhere in a program. Is it clear, Harshita? Is this clear, Harshita? Yes, no. Okay, right. Then coming to the private members can be accessed only inside the class. Private members are, are accessed only within a class. They are not allowed to access outside the class. Right. But coming to the protected members, the scope of protected will be only to the next derived class. Only to the next derived class. Are you able to follow now? Are you able to clear? Class and its subclass. Okay. Class and its subclass in the sense that is again only to the derived class. Okay, right. Are you yeah? Followed? Right. The next we will see friend functions. Okay. The next we will see friend functions. Okay. See, till I was telling that we cannot access private members outside a class. Okay. Private members cannot be accessed outside a class. With the help of a friend function, okay, it is a special function, we can say that with the help of this special friend or a friend, as a name itself we are saying friend, so it allows us to access the private members and protected members. Okay, allows us to access the private members as well as protected members. So a friend function can be a method of another class, or it can be a global function. Okay, and it can be a global function here. So friend function, okay, friend function is like a friend class. Okay, can be given access to the private members and protected members. That means you can access private members as well as protected members. Okay, we can access private members as well as protected members. So now see, friend function, right? If I am saying friend function means what happens there? Friend function, we can access, what is a friend now? It allows us to access the private members of a class and protected. So friend function can be a method of another class. Okay, I'll tell you what do you mean by method of another class, and a global function. I'll tell you here, right? So before going to that, we'll see this. Friends should be used for only limited purpose. That is, it allows, okay, these things will come after seeing this example. See, in this program, what I am taking here, I have class A. Okay, I have class A, right? And I'm having class B, which is declared as friend, and having class B, which is declared as friend here. Okay, friend class B. Then in class B, I have int B public void show where A ampersand X. Okay, this is the thing I have here. So what I am doing, this friend function, okay, I have the friend function. Inside the friend function, I am trying to access, okay, inside the friend function, I am trying to access show function here. So when I say, one second, when I say here the friend function. Okay, the friend function which is allowing us to access the private members of a class. It only gives us the private members are allowed in another class. Okay, allows us to access in another class, right? So what I'm doing here to access the member functions, here we are using dot operator. Once again, you can see this a here, you can see a I'm using as a private variable. B, which is, are you able to hear? Yes, okay. Yeah, the screen I did not share. I have removed it. Now, can you see the screen? Can you see the screen? Yes. Can you see the screen? PPT screen? Can you see now? Okay. Right. Then we have friend functions. Here in the friend functions, I'm trying to access the friend variable, right? Private variable A inside another class B. Okay, inside another class B here. As it is a friend of this class, we can access the members. So friend here is not a mutual. That means if A is a friend of B, that means B does not be a friend of A automatically. It doesn't indicate that, doesn't imply that B is a friend of A, right? Then friendship is not inherited in the sense that whenever we are using inheritance for the friends, right? For example, I have declared a class as friend class, then you cannot inherit that particular class into B directly. Friend should be used only limited purpose, right? That means you cannot use it. It allows or it gives us the problem of security here. That gives us a problem of security when you are using more friend functions in your program or friends as a class in a program. It has the problem with the encapsulation. Okay, encapsulation means when you are writing a class declaration, then it will not give us the security problem, right? The next one we have is static members. See example on this friend functions I'll show you. Okay, I'm going to show you. Let me finish the static members also. Static member functions, right? Friend functions. If you are declaring any function as friend, that is a friend function. And when you are declaring a class as a keyword with the keyword friend, it is a friend class. Now we'll have a static member function. See static member function, once you are declaring static member function means the value of this function is initialized to 0. Okay, at the time of your declaring itself it is initialized to 0, and you can create any number of objects of a static, right? You can create any number of static here member functions without using a without using the dot operator, right? See, normally if you wanted to call any member function, we used to call by using dot operator, but now here we cannot call a member function, that is static function, without using a we can call without using a dot operator. That means whenever you are using static means, I'm repeating once again, okay? Static member functions. The static means if you are declaring any variable with the keyword called static, then it is called as a static variable, static member variable. And whenever you are creating that particular variable, the value will be initialized to 0 to that. Okay, you're not, we will not give any statement like static int a x is equal to 0 or a is equal to 0. Will not write like this. See, static int some c is equal to c. If I'll declare like this. So whenever I declare like this, this c value will be automatically initialized to 0. It is initialized to 0. I'm not writing explicitly as 0. By default, it will be taken as 0 here. Yes? Sridhar, clear? Sridhar, is this clear? Static again, ma'am. See, I'm declaring normally. How do you declare a variable? We are going to declare a variable like this. Member variable, I'm declaring integer variable called int c. Right? Do we have any default value for this here? Do we have any default value over here? No, right? No. But when I declare this variable as static with the help of a keyword called static keyword, then by default, this C variable, by default, this C variable will be initialized with the value 0. Okay, it will be initialized with the value 0. Is this clear, everyone? Who has asked me? Repeat, ma'am, again. Sridhar. Okay. In the same way, if I make any function, if I am declaring any member function, okay, in the same way, if I am declaring any member function as a static, normally how do you call a static normal member functions here? We are going to call it by using object name dot member function name. Okay, we are going to call by using object name dot member function name. Yes, so, but coming to the static function, if I am declaring any function as static and I have a member function like this, okay, I have a member function like this, opening and closing, think that I have written some code inside this, right? Now, if I wanted to call the static member function, how I'm going to call it directly on the class name, like class name I'm having as student, okay, student scope resolution, okay, followed by this member function name, okay, followed by this member function name. How I am creating this member function, calling a member static member function, class name followed by the scope resolution, then member function name, okay, class name, scope resolution, member function name, right? Here the difference between how you are going to call a member function and static member function. Member function you are going to call as object name dot member function name. But coming to the static here, we are going to call on the class name. Class name followed by member function name. Followed by member function name. Yes. See this example. Static int get count return object. This is my static function. Okay, this is my static function. So this static function I am calling like int main cout box is a class name followed by the scope resolution and get count. Cout box is a class name followed by the scope resolution followed by a get count function. Yes, clear now? How we are going to declare a static variable and a static function, and how do we invoke the static member function. I hope you are able to follow. The next we have constant member functions. Okay, we can make member functions as constant with the help of constant keyword. What is the use of somebody asked the doubt here, what's the use of static method? See, normal method, if you are declaring on that normal method as many number of objects you are creating. Okay, for example, I'm discussing first about normal member function. So if I am creating 3 objects for a normal member function, it will not maintain the common value. But coming to the static here, but whenever you are making any changes to an object here, it automatically changes that value in other objects also. That means it maintains the same copy, same value in all the objects. Okay, and main advantage, you can say that you are directly calling the static members without using an class, means it reduces the memory, right? The memory created will be less when you are using the static member functions. Followed, Sridhar? Okay. Then constant member functions. Constant member functions means that is they are created by using a constant keyword. Okay. Once you are creating an object for this, you cannot modify it. Okay. As we are doing in a static. Once you static, if you are modifying the value of an object, it even reflects in other thing. Right. That cannot be done with the help of a constant functions. Class demo, int value public demo, int x is equal to 0, value is equal to x. I have taken, I'm initializing and I'm returning the value. So when I say constant demo d of 28, okay, so what I'm doing initially, demo d means what happens here, it is going to call uh, constructor of a class. Okay, is going to call the constructor of a class, that's a parameterized constructor. So the cursor jumps to demo int x is equal to 0. So when you are saying here constant, that means you cannot modify the value here. Okay, the value you cannot modify over here. Clear everyone? Is this clear? So before going to this, let me even tell you what is this. Okay, this reference. See, this pointer is used to point to the current members. Okay, to point to the current members of a class. Okay, so each object gets its own copy of that. Okay, whenever you are using uh, constant here, each object gets its own copy of the data members, as well as all objects in a class access the same function definition present in the code. That means, see, normally when I'll show you with an example here. I have a class test. Okay, I'm using int x is one private variable. Then the parameter I'm passing to void set x function is also x, and here I have a variable called x here. So when you are trying to initialize without using this operator, right? When you are trying to access without using this operator, see what happens. It will look like here x is equal to x. Okay, it is going to be like x is equal to x. So the compiler will have an ambiguity. Okay, compiler will have an ambiguity when you are saying x is equal to x. So to avoid that confusion, we say this arrow x. Okay, when you are saying this arrow x means it is going to refer to the current class variable, that is refers to the instance variable of a class. That means it is going to refer to the instance variable of a class. Okay, it will refer to the instance variable of a class, and this right hand side x is nothing but it is a local variable x, where I have written here int x, void set x int x. So here we have a local variable called x, and even the instance variable is also x. So if you are writing x is equal to x means it leads to a confusion. So to refer to the current class, we use this arrow x is equal to x. Okay, then we are trying to print that particular value. So when I change the value of x is equal to 20, and when I say x, set x of x, okay, set x of x means it will have the value of x as 20, and we are going to print that value as 20 here. Followed everyone? This pointer, have you followed? Okay, when a reference to a local class object is returned, the return reference can be used as chain function calls. Right? See, when I say return star, this I said. So when you are writing like this, it indicates that the reference to the local object, that means whatever current class object it has, that it is going to return, and internally it calls another function. Then it is called as chaining of function. We call as chain function calls on a single object. See, I have an object called object 155, right? It is going to call a function, object function. Are you following everyone? Are you following everyone? See, if you're not getting any doubt or if you're not giving any reply, it indicates that you're not concentrating. It indicates that you're not concentrating. Okay? Are you listening? Harshita, Harshita, Balaji, Ganesh, Saida. Yes, you are listening or not? Are you listening or not? Yes? Okay. Okay. So what is this reference? What is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this? It refers to the current class. Yes? Right. So same way, when I say here object 1 dot set x of 10 comma set y of 20. So what happens here? Set x of 10 means what happens here? It goes to set x function, and when I say I'll return this, so what happens here? It is going to return the reference of the local object, that means x object. Then what happens again? It refers the reference. Then when I say set y, I'm calling here one object on another object. So this is called as object chaining. Right? This is called as object chaining. The reference of one class. Okay. The reference of one class we are using to call another function on a single object. Right? On the single object, when I say here test what is this? Object 1 dot set x of 10 dot set y of 10. So what is happening? On an object 1, we are calling two functions. Right? It is called as function chaining. Followed everyone? Followed everyone? Followed everyone? Yes. Okay, Tiwari followed. Good. Then next we have, the next we are having constructors. Okay. Now have a doubt. Now I have a doubt. What is a member function? What is a member function? Give a response. Give a response. What is a function? Give a response. I want response from you people. Then only I can continue the class effectively. If you're not responding, even I will go to sleep mode. I want responses from you people. Yes. Okay. So what is a function? What is a function? What is a function? It is a, right. What is a member function? Same thing. Okay. So how do we declare a member function? Only one person have given a reply to me. Return type function name. Okay. What others are not listening? Okay. Okay, Rohan. Anusha, right? Yes. Thank you. Thank you for reply. Right. So function member function is nothing but it will have some set of instructions or block of code, right? The syntax of that will be return type, function name, and we are going to have parameter list if in case, right? That is related to member function. What is a static member function? If you are writing a static keyword before a member function, that is a static member function. How do we call a member function? Normal function. We are going to call that normal function on object name dot member function name. So we are calling a static function here. How we are calling a static function? Class name followed by scope resolution. We are not using dot operator. We are using scope resolution operator on a, right, class name, scope resolution, and static function name. Yes, right. Now the next one we are having is a constructor, right? Among all these functions, constructor is a special function, right? It is special to us because it has some special features. Okay, it is special. It has some special features here. So the first and important thing we can say is constructor is a special member function. Member function, I'm saying. Why I'm saying it as a special member function? Because it has the same name as a class name. Because it has the same name as the class name. Okay, it has the same name as the class name, right? And whenever you are creating an object of a class, okay, whenever you are creating an object of a class, constructor gets invoked automatically. You need not write separate code for invoking a constructor, right? So now see, think that I have a constructor. Okay, think that I have a constructor. The name of now you have to tell me the name of a constructor here. I have a constructor here. So what will be the name of a constructor for me now? What will be the name of a constructor? Student is the name of a constructor. Constructor will have the same name as the class name and it will not have any return type. Constructor will not have any return type, not even void. Void is also, void cannot be written even for a constructor. So for calling the constructor here, I have a constructor called student, right? I have a constructor called student here. Okay, so the student constructor, if I want to call from my main function, okay, from my main function, I am going to call, okay, I am going to call by it is called at the time of creating an object itself, right? So when I create an object in student class like student space s1, what it will do? It is going to first thing, what it will do? First thing, it is going to create an object to the class. Okay, it is going to create an object to the class, first thing. Then second thing, what it will do is it will invoke, okay, it will invoke the constructor of a class. Invoke the constructor of a class. Okay, it is going to invoke the constructor of a class. Are you following now, everyone? There will not be any return type for a constructor. Sohan, Sriharsha, there will not be any return type for the constructor. Constructor is written like this. Whatever code if you want, block of statements if you want, you can include inside the constructor class, but it will not have any return type. But it will not have any return type. Followed here. So for calling this constructor, I should not write like s1 dot student again. With this statement itself, it is going to create an object to the class as well as it will invoke the constructor of a class. As well as it will invoke the constructor of a class. Okay, it is going to invoke the constructor of a class. Follow till here, everyone. So the next thing, we have different types of constructors. We are having different types of constructors. The first type of constructor is default constructor. Okay, first type of constructor is default constructor. Second one is parameterized constructor. Okay, second one is parameterized constructor, and the third one will be copy constructor. Okay, so how many types of constructors we are having? How many types of constructors we have? Three types of constructors. What are they? What are they? What are they? Default, parameterized, and copy constructor, right? Default constructor. Now I'm telling about default constructor. Default constructor means it will not have any parameters. Okay. The main, what is the main purpose of using constructors? Still, I did not reveal that. What is the main usage of using the constructors? What's the main usage of using the constructors? Initialize data members. Very good, Rohan. Very good. Initialize the data members of a class here, right? Initialize the data members of a class. We are going to use constructors. So the default constructor is called by default by the compiler itself. Okay. In case in most of our programs we will not write any constructors, right? In our program which we have seen today, in that also I did not write any constructor, but I am creating a object to that class. So by default it is going to call, the default constructor, right? Even the default constructor will have the same name as class name, but it will not have any parameters. Default constructor will not have any parameters. See here, I have a class construct, right? So I'm including construct. Okay, I'm including construct as a constructor, but I don't have any parameters to this. And I'm initializing A and B. Okay, so when we are trying to uh, call this, okay, when I'm trying to call here, so how I'm calling here, when I say construct C, itself it is calling the constructor here. This method constructor, default constructor will be called, and a value, v value will be assigned as 10 and 20, right? Then second type of constructor we have here is a parameterized constructor. Second type of constructor we are having is parameterized constructor. The name itself indicates that it will have a parameters. Okay, the special function, special parameterized constructor has a parameters. Okay, has a parameters to the class. Constructor, right? So we are trying to initialize with the help of these parameters. So student class we are having, in the student class we have roll number and name, and I'm initializing r and y. Okay, I'm using local variables r and y. So r and y is equal to r, then stry is equal to, I'm writing as name comma y. Okay, name comma y. So what happens here? Here in this statement, student s1 of 101 comma bindu. So what happens here? It is going to call 10. It is going to pass 101 to the r, and bindu will be assigned to this character array y. Okay. So what is happening here? With the help of this statement, not only creating an object s1, we are invoking a parameterized constructor student. Okay, we are invoking the parameterized constructor student. Are you following everyone? Are you following everyone? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Is there anybody not able to follow? Is there anyone not able to follow? Okay. Yes, okay, good. Then we have an example. You can see here we are having an example, default constructor example. See, I have a class student, string name, roll number, double grade, int count. These are my instance variables. So I'm initializing in the default constructor Nikita as a name, roll number 101, grade 9.6. It's a default constructor, and I'm trying to display this, and I'm trying to display that values here. Okay, roll number, name, roll number, grade I'm displaying. Then main function, I'm creating an object. That's all I'm doing here. Okay, I'm creating an object student S1. Yes, yes. So with the help of this statement, what happens when you say student S1? What two things will happen here? Quick reply I want. Who will give quick reply? I want quick reply. What happens with this student S1? Okay, object creation and invoking of default constructor. Okay, good Rohan. Good Rohan. Right. So what happens here? It calls S1. So what happens? We are initializing name, roll number, grade, and we are initializing those values. Okay. Then when I say S1 dot display, what happens? The values are there for name, roll number, and CGPA. So those values will be printed. Clear, everyone? Clear? Okay, so the value, see, when I'm running here, the value I'm getting here is Nikita, roll number, and CGPA. Nikita, roll number, and CGPA. So the values which I have initialized, that I got it. Then next, this is default constructor. Then we have parameterized constructor. Okay, parameterized constructor. See, I have same student name, roll number, grade, default constructor and parameterized constructor I have, right? See, you can observe two parameterized constructor. One parameterized constructor is with only one parameter, and second parameterized constructor with three parameters. Now you can observe the names of instance variables I'm using here are name, roll number, and grade. The same way I'm giving the names as name, roll number, and grade. Name, roll number, and grade here. So this arrow name is equal to name. So as we have data member variables and local variables name, we are using this arrow name is equal to name. This arrow roll number is equal to roll number. This arrow grade is equal to grade we are taking. Okay. Are you able to follow? Then coming to my main function, see, I say here student S1. Okay, student S1. So it calls default constructor here. When I say student S2, okay, when I say student S2, so it is going to call the constructor which has, okay, the constructor which has string parameter. Okay, it has constructor, it has string parameter, student string name. So for the name we are having a value that will be assigned to name, roll number, grade. Right, then we are displaying on student 2. Then coming to third, student S3, 3 parameters. Right, so it is going to call S3 on 3 parameters. So it will call the parameterized constructor which is having 3 parameters, name, roll number, and grade. Name, roll number, and grade. Clear? Is this clear, everyone? Parameterized constructor. Right. Then the third type of constructor we are having is copy constructor. Okay. Third type of constructor we are having is copy constructor. So in this copy constructor, see, the definition of copy constructor is reference of the same class as passed as a parameter. Reference of the same class is passed as a parameter. So before going to that, let us see this example first. Class A, I have instance one member variable as x. X is equal to 0 in default. Then I say x is equal to a. This I am going to call parameters constructor once again. Okay. Now you can observe here a1 of 20 means what happens here, it is going to call parameterized constructor, right, where a1 is initialized, where a1 is initialized. Okay. Okay. Then I say a space a3 is equal to a1. A space a3 is equal to a1. Okay. So what happens here? Here what happens here also, what it will do, it is going to call copy constructor because a1 is initialized by some value. Are you observing? a1 I have initialized by some value 20. a2. So when I can also write like this, a space a3 is equal to a1, and once again it is going to call parameterized constructor. Now I say here, when I say here a space a4, okay, a space a4 is equal to a1, right? Here it will not call any parameterized constructor, it will call only normal constructor because this a4 is not initialized directly with the objects. Okay. See, for all we got 20, 20, 20. Okay. Clear everyone? Have you followed this everybody? Everybody followed this? So what is a copy constructor? Copy is the data of an object to data of another object. That means we have a reference. Very good, Balaji. Still, what about other people? Hemant is asking me to repeat again, explain again, ma'am. Creating of creating a copy of object. Okay. Tomorrow once again we'll start from here. But right now I'll explain once again to you. Okay. Right now I'm going to explain once again to you. See, copy constructor actually, I'll show you this. Copy constructor will have the reference of a same class itself. Okay. Copy constructor will have as a parameter. Okay. Passing an object as parameter of the reference of a same class itself. That will be that is a copy constructor. Okay. So When I take this copy constructor, there I can show you. I have examples also. I'll show this. Not worry. We have a class name called demo. This is a different parameterized, not parameters. It's a copy constructor. So we are passing the parameter as the reference of the same class itself. Okay, passing the parameter as the reference of the same class itself. See, once again, tomorrow we are going to begin from the copy constructor itself. Okay, we are going to begin from the copy constructor tomorrow. Once again, you need not worry here. Arun followed, right? So who has not followed? Hemant. Okay, Hemant, tomorrow once again we'll start from here. Time being, you follow, try to understand the definition. A is equal to D dot A, B is equal to D dot B. See, as A, B are two private members of this class, okay, private members of this class, if I want to access in a constructor, I have to use the reference on that. D dot A, when you are using the reference, you have to use reference on that. Then P is equal to new int star P is equal to star D dot P. Okay, this we will take up in the next class and we are trying to print. Here everyone, followed. In tomorrow's class we are going to begin again from copy constructor. You need not worry about copy constructor. Right? Okay. So thank you students.